What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be going over the 5 a.m. rule, how to transform your life into something of exceptional value. And so this isn't necessarily about waking up at 5 a.m. or waking up at 4, but it's about waking up with intent and exercising that discipline in the first few hours of the morning. Our overview is the lie you've been sold about sleep, the biology of early rising, the sacred hours, the identity shift, the practical framework, review, and action items. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. By Marcus Aurelius. The lie you've been sold about sleep. And if we're being honest, we've all been told this lie, that we're either a morning person or you're not. That some people are just wired to wake up early and others aren't. That it's genetic, it's personality, that it's simply just how you are. And this is the illusion that we've been fed, and it's complete garbage. It's something that we tell ourselves to justify staying comfortable. It's an excuse dressed up as biology. And oftentimes, these excuses that are dressed in science, that we have these certain archetypes of some wake up early and some don't. Those can be the most dangerous because they're the most convincing. But the truth is that being a morning person isn't something you're born with. It's something you become through deliberate choice and consistent action. Every single person who wakes up at 5 a.m. and dominates their day made a decision at some point to stop negotiating with their alarm clock. They didn't wait to feel ready. They didn't wait for motivation. They simply did it. You've also been sold this idea that you need 8 to 9 hours of sleep to function. And yes, sleep is important, obviously, but this obsession with perfect sleep has become another excuse for mediocrity. Now, you've also been sold this idea that you need 8 to 9 hours of sleep to function. And while sleep is important, the obsession with perfect sleep has become another excuse for mediocrity. People use this as a reason to stay in bed, to hit snooze, to delay their life by another hour every single day. They treat sleep like it's sacred, but treat their waking hours like they're disposable. Here's what nobody tells you. The quality of your sleep matters significantly more. I mean, maybe 2 times as much than the quantity of your sleep. And the quality is determined by how you live your waking hours. If you're scrolling on your phone until midnight, eating garbage, and living without purpose, then yeah, you're gonna need 10 hours of sleep and still wake up exhausted. But if you're training the right way, you're eating the right way, and living intentionally, 6 to 7 hours becomes enough. The real issue isn't how much sleep you're getting, it's that you're using sleep as an escape. You're hiding in bed because facing the day feels overwhelming. You hit snooze because you don't have a reason to get up that's stronger than your desire to stay comfortable. And every time you do this, you're training your brain that comfort is more important than your goals. Most people spend their entire lives in reactive mode. They wake up whenever their body decides to. They check their phone immediately. They let the world dictate their energy, their mood, their direction. Here's where we take control. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't about the time. It's about reclaiming control. It's about deciding that you set the tone for your day, not your circumstances, not your notifications, not your emotions. When you wake up before the world does, you get to decide who you are before anyone else has a chance to tell you. And here's the thing, the first hour of your day determines the next 23. If you start your day in chaos, rushing, reactive stress, the energy carries through everything you do. And I'm sure we've all experienced this. That's why they say, wake up on the wrong side of the bed, because how we wake up is how we live the rest of the day. If you start your day in stillness, in power, in intention, you set a frequency that the rest of your day has to match. And not all of you believe in frequency necessarily, but you can replace that with tone, mindset. You set a mindset for the rest of the day. So we're left with this choice between the lie you've been sold that is waking up early, hard, unnatural, that it's only for a certain type of person, or the contrary. But the truth is that waking up early is the simplest, most accessible form of self-discipline you can practice. Everybody can do it. It costs nothing. It requires no special skill, just a decision. But the key is that that decision is something you have to do every day. Every morning, you choose to stay in bed. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing the old version over the new one. You're voting for mediocrity. If you keep voting this way, don't be surprised when your life reflects mediocrity back. And so it's not that waking up early makes you into someone of worth. It's that you set a goal and you don't allow that goal to be superseded by something else. You don't allow it to be extrapolated. You don't allow this to slip from you. And so if we really want to fix our sleep, we have to understand the biology of waking up early. Now, most of you know that your body runs on a 24-hour cycle called the circadian rhythm. This isn't abstract, it's a scientific biological clock that regulates hormones, energy, focus, mood, everything. I mean, testosterone is higher at night. We have melatonin that automatically kicks in based off our circadian rhythm. This clock is designed to sync with the sun. When the sun rises, your body is supposed to wake. This is millions of years of evolutionary biology that is at work within you every single day. Modern life has completely destroyed this rhythm. Artificial light, screens, irregular schedules, late night eatings. This all confuses your brain. So when your circadian rhythm is off, everything else suffers. Your sleep quality drops, your energy crashes, focus scatters, hormones are all messed up. Now, how do we align this? Waking up at 5 a.m. resets this rhythm. Maybe not initially, but over time. It forces your body back into alignment with nature. When you're aligned, everything works better. Your sleep deepens, your energy stabilizes, your mind sharpens. You stop feeling like you're dragging yourself through the day, but you feel like you're more in control. Let's talk about cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone, but it's also your wake-up hormone. Cortisol naturally peaks early in the morning between 6 and 8 a.m. This is called the awakening response. It's designed to give you energy and alertness to start your day, but here's the problem. If you're waking up at 9 or 10 a.m., you're missing that natural cortisol spike. Your body already released it while you were asleep. So when you wake up groggy, sluggish, and you need your coffee, you're basically fighting your own biology. This is why sleep isn't a linear game. There's a diminishing point of return because when you sleep too much, you end up sleepier than if you had slept too little. When you wake up at 5, you're riding that cortisol wave. You're using your body's natural energy surge instead of working against it, and that makes waking up easier, not harder. Secondly, there's melatonin, which is probably the most important. Melatonin is your sleep hormone. It starts rising in the evening when it gets dark, and it drops in the morning when it gets light. But if you're staring at screens until midnight, you're suppressing melatonin production. So that's a problem because that's something we're all doing. Your brain thinks it's daytime, you can't fall asleep, and when you finally do, the sleep is shallow and fragmented. Waking up early forces you to go to bed earlier, and when you go to bed earlier, you give your body more time to produce melatonin naturally. You fall asleep faster, you sleep deeper, you wake up more rested. And so a lot of people are taking melatonin to overcome this because they're not doing it how they're naturally supposed to. And yes, this can be a handicap for a short period of time, but really, if you want to optimize fully, you need to work in alignment with your biology. Now, dopamine is a word that everybody throws around. We know that this is attached to motivation and reward pathways. Here's what most people don't realize. Dopamine is highest in the morning. Your brain is primed for focus, for learning, for creation in the early hours. This is when you can get your deep work done, and this is why writers often wake up early in the morning and they do their best work. But if you waste these hours scrolling, snoozing, or rushing, or deciding that you want another nap, you're burning this dopamine on nothing. And in fact, you're ruining the rest of your day. When you wake up at 5 a.m. and use these hours intentionally, you're leveraging your brain's peak performance window. You're doing your most important work when your mind is sharpest. Then there's something called sleep inertia. Sleep inertia is that groggy, foggy feeling you get when you first wake up. It's caused by your brain transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. It can last from 15 to 2 hours depending on how you wake up. And so there's actually studies that show if you drink coffee too early, you're going to maintain this sleep inertia. When you hit snooze, you're making sleep inertia worse. Every time you fall back asleep and wake up again, you're restarting that transition. You're basically torturing your brain. When you wake up at 5, you get up immediately, you cut through sleep inertia faster. You move, you hydrate, you expose yourself to the light, and your brain fully wakes up. Then there's temperature, which is naturally regulated, or you can artificially regulate this using maybe like a sleep aid or the air conditioning in your home. Your core temperature drops at night to help you sleep. This is when you're in your deep sleep, and it rises in the morning to help you wake. This is tied to your circadian rhythm. When you wake up early and expose yourself to natural light, you're signaling to your body to raise its temperature faster. You feel more alert, more energized. But if you stay in a dark room until late morning, your body stays in sleep mode. Your temperature stays low, you feel cold, sluggish, and unmotivated. Now let's talk about willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It's not infinite. Studies show willpower is highest in the morning, but depletes throughout the day. As we make a decision, it requires willpower. So during our sleep, we're kind of recharging this willpower. And we have the most of it when we're up early. Not when we're in bed, but once we've gotten up, then we have this willpower. And so if you understand the implications of that, it means your willpower is lowest at night, which is why you binge eat, which is why you can't go to bed on time. And so that's why going to sleep at night is often the hardest part. Going to sleep on time makes waking up in the morning easier. We all understand this. So here's the kicker. Every time you wake up early, you're building willpower like a muscle. You're proving to yourself that you can do hard things. Now, the sacred hours are going to be between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. Okay? These aren't like the rest of your day. And if you can do 4 a.m., I would try it one time. Okay? If you wake up at 4, it will be life-changing. If you wake up at 4, get straight to deep work. By the time 8 a.m. comes around, you'll have accomplished almost as much as you would have in the entire day. And between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., there's stillness, clarity, that willpower that exists within these hours that aren't anywhere else. The world is asleep, your phone isn't buzzing, no one demanding your attention. It's you and your thoughts and your potential. You have all the tools during this time, and it's up to you to use them. These are sacred hours, and if you're not using them, you're leaving the most valuable part of your day on the table. Most people live their entire lives in reactive mode. They just wake up to this alarm that they then realize they're late for work. They immediately check their phone, let the world fill their minds with someone else's thoughts. They don't come up with their own. They rush into a morning routine, skip breakfast, and show up to their day already behind. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, and overwhelmed. But when you wake up at 5 a.m., you're living proactively. Even if you go to school or you go to work and you have to be somewhere at a certain time, wake up earlier than you have to. There's a certain power in doing that, and that's how you begin to take control of your life. You set the tone, you get to decide how you feel, what you focus on, who you become before the world has a chance to pull you in a different direction. The sacred hours are where transformation happens. This is where you build the habits that change your life. This is where you do the deep work that moves the needle. First you move, you train, you get your blood flowing. This doesn't have to be a full workout, but it has to be something. Push-ups, stretching, a walk, something that alerts the body to wake up and signals to your nervous system that you're alive and ready to perform. This is something that famously Pavel Durov always and routinely does. He wakes up, he does 500 push-ups, 500 squats. This is also contributing to control and willpower and dopamine. Nobody wants to do this, but when you do the things that you don't want to do, it makes doing the things that you do want to do a lot easier. And so living towards your goals and accomplishing your goals is all about doing the things that you don't want to do. So when you can indicate to your brain that it doesn't matter if it's painful, I'm going to do it, you're setting your rest of your day and the rest of your life up for success. When you move, first thing, you're telling yourself that you're the kind of person who takes care of their body, and this identity shift is everything. Hydration. Next, you're going to want to hydrate. Your body is dehydrated 6 to 8 hours after sleep because you're not drinking water. And I wouldn't advise to drink water in this time because then you're just going to wake up more and you're not going to get as much of that deep sleep. So obviously, your cells need water to function. Your brain needs water to think. Drink at least a full glass of water as soon as you wake up. You can add some salt or lemon if you want, or maybe even other supplements. Vitamins work well. This simple act will give you more energy than any cup of coffee and will also serve as a routine for your body to know that it's time to wake up. Breathe. Then you breathe, you sit in stillness for even just 5 minutes, and you breathe deeply. Now this can be less. If you don't have the time, you can start off with 2 minutes. Just focus on your breath. Understand what you're doing in this time. This isn't necessary, but you can definitely add this. Understand why you're getting up and what you're going to work on for that day. This sets direction to your life. Most people just live their lives being reactive, doing what they're told, living aimlessly. But if you take some time to think about where you want to go, then that'll make all the difference. Let your nervous system settle, let your mind clear. This isn't spiritual, although it can be. This is about giving yourself space to just be before you start doing. Most people are so addicted to stimulation they can't sit with themselves for 5 minutes without reaching for their phone. But if you can't be alone with your own thoughts, you're not in control of your mind. If you can't be alone with your own thoughts, you're not in control of your mind. If you guys really understand that, you will almost think of your phone as toxic. Intention. We talked about this. You can do this in your still moments. You decide who you're going to be today. You decide what matters, what you're creating. Not complicated. It can be one sentence. Today I'm focused on X. Today I'm focused on Y. Today I'm focused on Z. This is really just about setting the tone and what you want to complete that day. This is where you program your subconscious. You tell your brain what to filter for, what to prioritize, what to make real. Then you create. You do the work that matters. You write, you build, you strategize, you learn. You do the thing that's going to move your life forward. Not the busy work, not the emails, not the real work. The real work. This is your deep work window. Your brain is sharp, your willpower is full. There are no distractions. This is when you make progress that other people can't because they're asleep. And this is what I mean. As soon as you get to 8 a.m. when you're supposed to be up, or 7 or 6, you're going to already have accomplished more than most people. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. You start to see results. And I will say, if you try this tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, you can see results. But the biggest results are going to happen when you do this over a long period of time. That's where the ultra hyper successful people are. When they have routines, they stick to them and they do them over a long enough time horizon. You'll have real tangible results. You finish projects, you build skills, you create momentum, and that momentum becomes addictive. You start craving the sacred hours because you know that's where your power lives. You begin to get excited for morning time. But sacred hours aren't just about productivity, they're also about peace. There's something deeply calming about being awake while the world sleeps. You're not rushing, you're not stressed, you're just present. Then move on to identity. The sacred hours are where you build your identity. Every morning you wake up at 5, you're proving to yourself that you're disciplined, that you're committed, and you're not like everyone else. This proof compounds. It becomes who you are. And so we really fundamentally need to have this identity shift. So waking up at 5 a.m. isn't really about waking up at 5 a.m. Like I said, it could be 4, it could be 6, it could be 7. But it's mainly about who you become in the process. It's about the identity you build through the act of doing something hard every single day. Because here's the truth, you don't get what you want in life, you get who you are. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Every time you hit snooze, you're voting for the person who chooses comfort over growth. Every time you get up, when the alarm goes off, you're voting for the person who does hard things. And over time, these votes add up. Most people think identity is something you discover. like it's hidden inside you, like it's just figuring out a part of life. But most hyper successful people know identity can be created. It's built, it's constructed through repeated action. So you become who you are by doing what you do. You become who you are by doing what you do. It's that simple. The problem is, we often do things that are aligned with someone we don't want to become. If you want to become disciplined, you don't wait to feel disciplined, you act disciplined. You wake up early, you train, you do the work. Eventually, your brain catches up. It says, I guess we're a disciplined person now. And that becomes your baseline. That becomes your normal. Waking up at 5 a.m. is one of the easiest ways to build a powerful identity because it's daily proof. It's evidence that you can do hard things, that you can override your emotions, that you're in the driver's seat. This evidence compounds. One morning, you prove you can do it. The next morning, you prove it again and again and again. After a month, you're not just someone who wakes up early, you're someone who keeps their word to themselves, you're someone who doesn't negotiate with weakness. This identity shift creates a ripple throughout your life. Because remember, we're not just waking up early just to wake up early. We're waking up early to transform our lives, to become who we set ourselves out to be. Because once you see yourself as that person, you start to act like that person. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for permission. Instead, you become proactive. You show up differently. You speak more confidently. You move with purpose. You make decisions faster. You know who you are. And you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They try to change their behavior without changing their identity. They try to force themselves to wake up early while still seeing themselves as someone who's not a morning person. And this creates internal conflict. Your brain will always try to keep your behavior consistent with your identity. It will always default to your identity. But when you shift the identity first, the behavior becomes automatic. You don't have to force yourself to wake up early. You simply do it because that's who you are. So how can you shift this identity? You start by deciding. You make a declaration, and this doesn't have to be something that you look in the mirror and say to yourself. This is a decision that you make internally. I'm someone who wakes up at 5 a.m. Not I'm someone who tries to wake up at 5 a.m. Not I want to wake up at 5 a.m. You have to really decide because your brain isn't stupid. You're not going to trick yourself. Then you act from this identity. So if I say I'm someone who wakes up at 5, I have to act in alignment. Every time you act from that identity, you reinforce it. You're building neural pathways. You're creating evidence. You're proving to yourself that this is who you are. Waking up at 5 a.m. is the gateway. It's the first domino. Once you knock that down, the rest start falling. You start eating better. You start training harder. You start working smarter. You start showing up as the person you've always wanted to. And this is a positive flywheel. Because once you start doing those things, it becomes even easier to wake up early. People will notice. They feel the shift in your energy. They see the change in your results. They see the ripple results. And you'll realize it all started with one decision, the decision to get up. Now, some practical steps. Step 1, decide your wake-up time and commit. You need to analyze your schedule. Some people will say, I will try to wake up earlier. That's not a decision. That's wishy-washy. A decision is final. It's non-negotiable. If you make a decision with your boss, with your company, if you make a decision to end a relationship, these are final decisions. Make this same commitment with yourself. Pick a time and commit to it for at least 30 days. It will change your life, I'm telling you. No exceptions, no negotiations, no just this once. If you're tired, you take a nap in the middle of the day, but wake up when you say you will. Write this down, say it out loud, tell someone, make it real. Most of us don't have the discipline to just tell ourselves we're going to do it, and we end up doing it. Step 2, work backward from your wake-up time. If you're waking up at 5, you need to be asleep by 10. If you're waking up at 6, you need to be asleep by 11. This gives you 7 hours of sleep, which is enough for most people. But to be asleep by 10, you need to be in bed by 9:30. And to be in bed by 9:30, you need to start winding down by 9. So evening routine is probably the most important, if not just as important as your morning routine. You can't expect to wake up at 5 if you're scrolling on your phone until midnight. Step 3, design your evening wind down. Remember, this is crucial. This is part of waking up the next day. Starting at 9, no screens. Just try this for 30 days. No phone, no TV, no laptop. Blue light suppresses melatonin and keeps your brain wired. If you need to use a screen, use blue light blockers or enable night mode. Dim the lights in your house. You can use red light. Bright lights suppress melatonin, so red lights are fine. Do something calming, read a book, journal, stretch, meditate. I mean, guys, when's the last time you read a book at night? It puts you to sleep so fast. Don't eat a heavy meal late at night. Your body needs to focus on sleep, not digestion. If you're hungry, have something light. Step 4, set your environment up for success. Your bedroom should be a sleep sanctuary. It should be cool, dark, and quiet. Invest in blackout curtains if you need to. Use earplugs, a white noise machine. Keep the temperature between 60 and 67. I would say at least 65 and 70 if you're on a budget. Get your phone out of your bedroom. This is really key. I know some of you guys need it, but if you don't need it, this will make the whole process way easier, okay? There's studies that show just having the phone out of the room releases so much attention from your brain to that phone, and it makes you so much more calm. So keep the phone out of your room. It will change your life. Put it in another room. Use an actual alarm clock. Use a physical one that's loud and annoying. I have 2 alarm clocks, and I set them up both so that if I miss one, I get the other. Step 5, prepare the night before. Lay your workout clothes, your water bottle, your journal, whatever you're gonna be using in the morning. You want to reduce the friction in the morning by preparing at night. The goal is to make the first 10 minutes of your morning so easy that you can do it on autopilot. You're gonna be half asleep, remember. So create this routine, and this routine starts at night. Step 6, get up immediately. No snooze, no negotiations, no just 5 more minutes. Swing your legs out of bed and stand up, that's it. Think about what Marcus Aurelius says. He asks, were you made to feel comfortable? Were you made to stay within your covers? And no, you were not. You were made with a higher purpose. First 10 seconds are the hardest. Your brain will scream at you to go back to sleep. It'll give you every excuse in the book. Oftentimes we become the best negotiators that we need more sleep right in the morning, right when we're supposed to get up. That's when we begin to negotiate with ourselves. Once you're standing, the battle is over. Your body starts waking up. Blood starts flowing. Start drinking that water. Start turning on lights. It'll get way easier. Step 7, flood your system with wakeful signals. Bright lights, talked about the water, the movement, and cold shower. If you're up for it, I would say it's optional. It's uncomfortable, but the science definitely backs it up. Step 8, protect the sacred hours. Don't check your email, don't dive into work. Use the first hour or 2 for yourself. Remember, you're getting up earlier than you needed to. So if you didn't need to get up at that time to check your phone, don't get up at that time to check your phone, okay? Keep this time to yourself, guard it. Step 9, track your progress. Every morning you wake up at 5, mark it down. I bought a big calendar, and I like to mark down when I wake up on time so that I can build this streak and I can visualize it. That's just something I like to do. When you see 7 days in a row, then 14, then 30, it reinforces this identity. You're not trying it anymore, you're being. Step 10, adjust and optimize. The first week will be hard. The second week will be less hard. The third week will be annoying. The fourth week, you'll start to kind of like it. And the fifth week, that'll be your identity. And it'll actually be harder to get up late than it will be to get up early. If you don't need to adjust your bedtime to do it, you need to tweak your morning routine to do it. The framework is flexible, but the commitment isn't. What that means is this becomes your new normal. And so when you try this for 30 days, you'd say you wake up at 5 a.m. and you go to sleep by 10. If you find that you're tired every single day, then maybe you need to go to sleep at 9:30. So you can adjust, be flexible. Maybe you change it to 5:30. It works better for your days. Be flexible, but just stay true to yourself and your commitment. Here's the truth. You're going to have days where you don't want to get up. It's probably going to be most days within this first month. That's where you need discipline. Days when you're tired, where you didn't sleep well, where it feels impossible, on those days, get up anyways, because that's an even bigger vote to your brain that you do what it takes to meet your goals. Discipline isn't about doing when you feel like it, it's about doing it, especially when you don't. These are the days that build you. This is the make or break days. Over time, waking up at 5 a.m. stops being a challenge. It becomes who you are. It becomes the foundation of your life, and everything else you build sits on top of that foundation. So, review. We've talked about the lie that you've been sold about sleep, that you're either a morning person or you're not, that waking up is hard. All of that is a story that we've convinced ourselves. We talked about our biology of early rising, circadian rhythm, cortisol, melatonin, dopamine, how our body's designed to wake up early. When you align with that, everything else works better. We talked about the sacred. The hours between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. are different. They're where transformation happens. They're where you build the habits, do the deep work, and become the person you've been trying to become. Then we shifted to identity. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't about the time, it's about who you become. It's about every morning getting up, you're voting for this new identity. And over time, this identity becomes real. Then framework, we talked about practical steps, the step-by-step system that makes waking up at 5 a.m. sustainable. From committing to a time, to designing your evening routine, to getting up immediately, to protecting the sacred hours. So some final actions: decide your wake up time and commit to it for 30 days. Stick to it. Second, design your evening wind down routine. Third, set up your environment for success. Finally, get up immediately when the alarm goes off. And the fifth one would be repeat. Repeat for at least 30 days. Track your progress and watch how your life transforms. You don't need permission. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to decide. And there's no reason to not start tomorrow. The 5 a.m. rule isn't about waking up early. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about becoming the person who does hard things. It's about proving to yourself that you're in control. And once you prove that, everything else becomes possible. Anyways, guys, I hope you found this training useful, and I hope many of you begin to implement it into your lives, as I know that it can improve 99% of your lives out there. If you're not where you want to be, this is my number one recommendation of where to start. Get up early, set that morning routine, and you'll see everything else fall into place.